After a few weeks on the road, Rovers return home in need of 3 points when they face Morecambe this weekend. The goal drought was ended by Tommy Rowe's first half strike at the DW Stadium last time out, but now performances have to turn into results with just 1 point to show from the opening 6 games. The visitors Morecambe are at the start of their first ever season at this level and have already claimed the considerable scalp of Sheffield Wednesday, with that one of 2 victories that Stephen Robinson's side have earned so far. It's a key fixture for both sides as Rovers take on Morecambe. Hello, welcome back. It's good to have you with us for the latest edition of the Inside Rovers pre-match show. Joining me on the show tonight, sports journalist Alex Gibbings and Rovers assistant manager Noel Hunt. Hunty, welcome to the show. A long week of training in the bag. How much are the boys looking forward to this one at the weekend?
Yeah, I think we're really happy this week. I think it's the first week since we've been here that we've had a good group of players to work with and work on. The last 6-7 weeks it's been so disruptive, and missing 3, 4, 5 bodies at a time is frustrating. So this week I think is the first week where we had a core group of say 18 players that you thought, yeah, we can really do some work this week and get ready for Saturday.
Before we really get into things then, let's take a look at what's coming up on the show tonight. We'll hear from boss Richie Wellens on the need to start picking up points in Sky Bet League One. Rovers Academy manager Tony Cook talks us through the latest talent within the youth setup. We'll check in on Cameron John to see if he's tried pineapple on pizza yet.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
And we have the latest away fans feature as Aaron Challoner chats to Morecambe fan Joel Shooter about the Shrimp start to the season. Alex, a big one this weekend. Richie Wellens said before the international break that once it was over, this is when the season starts. Of course, mitigating circumstances at Wigan last weekend without the skipper, and then a few decisions go against us, but this one really is a big one, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously when you're still looking for that first win of the season, it's going to be crucial to come against a team that have come up from the league below. They've obviously had a good start, and that's going to be, it's going to be crucial to make sure that Rovers do get something on the board as well. Like we say, there's more players coming back. Big one's going to be Tom Anderson, of course, coming back this weekend hopefully as well. So to have them players back in, you started to see it in the last couple of games when you have those players back in the side. The patterns of play are there. It's just getting that finishing touch now and getting a solid squad together.
No, it's typical, isn't it, that Rovers have struggled for goals. They start to get forward players back, and then you've got Cameron John and Tom Anderson ruled out. The luck's not been with us at all so far this campaign, but with the skipper set to come back in at the weekend and just add a bit of solidity in there, Rovers now look a bit more of a complete package while still having 3 or 4 players on the sidelines. Yeah,
this is it, and this has been our frustration all since the start of the season. We got boys back last week. Even we had probably a solid front 3, even though the fitness isn't there yet. So when you have the players, it's getting the fitness up into them, and this week was really good to get a good week of a block of work into the boys. Tom coming back is a great one for us. And I think we really missed them last week, especially at a place like Wigan, where they're going to be a favourite to go up this season. But having said that, I thought we controlled the game really well and how we were disciplining our shape. We scored a really good goal, and through no fault of our own, the referee gives a decision that they've since apologised for, that has never been a free kick, and it's so frustrating. The second one you can see is offside, so it's really frustrating. But to have these boys back, and to get the week of work we got into these guys this week, and you can see the fitness improve. Thiago's getting fitter, Joe's getting fitter, Jordy's getting fitter. Rodrigo's come in, he's getting minutes under his belt. So yeah, we're looking forward to this weekend and hoping that we can get these boys up and running.
Of course, Morecambe are a club in transition themselves. They lost the manager in the summer, recruited well with players that have come in, but the one constant for them has been Cole Stockton, hasn't it, up front. He scored goals last season, he started well, I think it's 8 and 8 already this time around. So when you've already got that focal point, it just makes things that little bit easier. Yeah,
absolutely. And you look at the season last season, they're used to winning. So they come into this season, and there's probably, when a team steps up a level, there's more the fear factor, the underdog mentality, which can be a real asset to teams. So we've got to match that straight away, that attitude, that underdog mentality, and get on the ball and let our football do the talking. So for us, it's a big part of how we played. Take the game to them on Saturday. We're at home, and we want to be looking to get 3 points, no doubt about it. And the boys are in a good headspace, and we're really looking forward to it. Yeah.
Alex, does it show the way that Morecambe have started with a couple of wins under their belt already that when you have that momentum, there isn't too big a gap between top-end League Two and then competing in the league above?
Yeah, exactly. You've seen it with the likes of Bolton as well. They've had a good start to the season. So there's obviously, that momentum is key. Like I say, Cole Stockton's had a great start to the season. So, when you have a player coming up against a player like that, with the defensive players that we have, obviously, it's, like I say, with Tom Anderson coming back, the likes of him, you need to be on your game and make sure you nullify that threat.
Of course, Hunty, the boys went out for a meal in midweek after the photo shoot down here, so they spent some good time together. The gaffer said in press on Wednesday that he's probably had 20 people training for the first time since he arrived, which shows that the levels of desperation at times with lack of numbers and having to have trialists in just to make up the numbers. You and Cops getting involved at times. Yeah. I suppose it's nice just to stand off and watch for a little bit. Absolutely,
it is, and it's so important, especially to the boys. We've been together now, it's probably 12 weeks, and it was the first night where we could get a group of boys together, go out and have a meal and sit down and get them to know each other on a personal level, not just inside of work. I think when you get outside of work and you go and sit down and have a conversation with someone, you talk about family, you talk about friends, you find things in common, and it bonds the team. I think it's really important that we have that factor in the club, and this week was the first time we could do it. It's tough, because you're sending boys that are not ready to come in and play, and you're putting pressure on these young lads, and there's kind of a duty of care from my side of it as a coach to say, right, these players should be coming on in games and influencing games when we're winning and comfortable. The likes of Brandon Horton learning his trade, and Charlie Seaman, he's played 4 or 5 games for us. We've played 4 or 5 games in the EFL. We want to bring these players on and dip them in and out and progress them that way, not just have the pressure on them. So the squad coming back together, bringing in that experience that we have, it's a massive point for us, but for these young lads as well to go take a breather, have that little bit of, right, the pressure's not on me now, I can come on and affect games, or if I am starting, I know that I'm playing with a strong team and they can help me through it, and that's how you progress these young lads. So for me, it's great. You feel a bit of energy back in the club, because you're not filling it with trialists that you don't know. We had a meeting last week, and one of the biggest things is we've had probably 30-40 trialists through the door. It's just to get us through to do a bit of squad shape or whatever it is, and like you said, myself and Cops jumping in when we had to, even though our days are gone, you just got to do it for the team sometimes. But hopefully that's all behind us now, and they won't see me and Cops on the training ground again, involved in sessions, but we can leave the boys to it.
Yeah, Richie spoke to the media on Wednesday about the importance of carrying a significant goal threat on the pitch, with Joe Dodu and Geordie Huula crucial to that.
Do you feel like the players in the squad are as sort of close as you have been to being able to play the way you'd like them to play?
Not just that, it's getting the squad actually to know each other. So we went out for a meal yesterday in Doncaster just to get the players more, because for the previous 8 weeks it seemed like two or three players have come in, but they've not seen 2 or 3 players that have had COVID. Then they come back and somebody else is missing, and it's just been all very, very bitty. So now that we've got everybody in, we just want to get that team spirit going and that belief going forward, that once we get that first win, as you've seen with, I think, Sheffield United now, was a great result the other night for them. They've kicked on now, and they'll start winning more or less every week. And I think once we get one win, the confidence in a lot of our younger players will grow rapidly.
I mean, that training time and game time for Huula and Dodu in particular is going to be key. Do you see those two as just improving game by game now?
Yeah, I mean, I've watched Geordie for a number of years. He will score goals from that left wing position, left forward position, and Joe's surprised me how good he is. He's got good fit. He's got every attribute to be a really, really top striker in League One. So I've been pleased with both. But you have to be, the biggest wariness that you have to do is asking them to do too much and they break down and they get injured. So I think we've kind of got that balance right, where even though if we would have had a Tuesday game, they wouldn't have played 90 minutes at Wigan. And you don't want to take them off because they've got a goal, but you're running that risk of injury. But because they didn't have a Tuesday game, we decided to give them 90 minutes. Obviously rest up Sunday, and then they train really well Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and obviously they should be fine to go Saturday.
Noel, the manager's got a bit of a frustrated figure at times. I know you were both yellow carded last weekend on the touchline, but that shows the passion you both have to get things right and all the work you put in on the week to come out at the weekend.
Well, I feel it was yellow carded for showing common sense, to be honest. You go through the goals, they show, obviously it's different for me because I played at Wigan and I was there when we won the league. I know that when the goals are showed on the big screen, they show them. You know, when there's a controversial goal scored for the home team, it kind of doesn't tend to come on. You know, so I said to the line, I bet you, any amount of money that they will not show that goal because it looks offside. I mean, no one celebrated. Their bench didn't celebrate. We were always waiting for the flag to go up, and it just didn't come. So the frustration is justified, I think, from my point of view. And I feel like the whole handling of every situation on that day. I think Max Perez, as I played with Max, but Max Perez challenges a red card. There's no other way you look at it. If Geordie's foot's planted, he breaks his leg. And I think that Max gets up quite cleverly and goes over to the referee straight away and cons him a little bit, and that's Max's job. I get that, but referees at this level have got to be bigger and better than that. They got to see through these things, and perform as high to the standard as the football's been played. So for me, that was, I'm trying to clear my yellow card up, but you can see the frustration. Obviously, it is absolutely. Yeah. But I mean, me and the gaffer, we do. We do get frustrated because you do see it. I mean, I think we see it like everyone else sees it. It's just sometimes the man in the middle doesn't, and that's the frustration part.
Give us an insight as to what your relationship looks like with a manager, because of course he strikes me as the sort of person who doesn't want yes men around him. He wants somebody who's going to give it to him honestly. Yeah. If there's something you disagree with, are you able to just go, hang on a minute, no, actually I think this? Likewise with the other members of the coaching staff.
Listen, what you see, and again it's hard because you do get caught up in the game. But he's a very, very open. A very, very open and honest manager. He's the biggest critique of himself, and he drives people around him. You know what I mean? He will make people around him better and perform better every day. And that's what I love about how he wants to work. I'm more, he's, for me, coming through my playing career and my coaching career, he's probably tactically one of the best I've worked with. Without a shadow of a doubt, probably the best I've worked with, if I'm being honest. I don't want him to see this now because obviously it'll give him a head. But, I just think he sees things and how the game should be played, and the way he played his game, obviously through his career, he sees it that way. So the information is so detailed. Whereas I'm sometimes a simpler guy. I'm thinking, well, maybe we don't need that pass. Maybe we don't. Maybe we can just go straight in there, and stuff. And he'll come back and look at it, and he'll go, maybe you're right, So the odd time that we might need to tweak and change things, I like to think I help him,
And that portrays, doesn't it, Alex? Sitting up in the press box, you can see that Noel and Richie are both moving around, trying to get up to people like the fullbacks here. They don't have a quiet time of it, do they, from Rovers' point of view? So how important is that to feed the energy, I suppose, around the stadium? Yeah,
and the fans can see how much Richie wants to do well. Obviously, loved him as a player in a couple of spells here, and now he's back as manager. It's clear to see how well he wants to do. Obviously, with Noel, like we say, the Rovers fans are going to be behind him all the way, and obviously been unfortunate with, like I say, with the likes of the injuries, some decisions in games at key times. But the passion's there, and you can see it in the way that he does speak as well. The way he comes across in his press conferences, pre and post match, the passion is there, and the fans will be behind him 100%, and likewise with Noel.
Has that helped Noel, do you feel, in this sort of sticky period at the start of the campaign, the relationship that the gaffer already had with the supporters, and the fact that they're sticking by him, if that makes sense? The results haven't been there, everyone can see that, but everyone can see why as well.
Absolutely. I mean, I think it's a special place, this place, if I'm being honest, and that really showed and portrayed after the cup game here. We had a lot of changes in the team, a lot of young lads. Lewis came back in goal, and we had to change and tinker things around. I mean, we spoke in the dressing room for about an hour and a half after the game about it's unacceptable to leave these fans who paid their money to come in and sit there, and we made sure they went over and saw the fans and greet the fans, because you can't hide from that, and you could see the response, how they clapped them off the field. It's a really, really special thing, that, and I know the gaffer has a really strong bond with the club, and he does want to do really. He's desperate to do well. He's desperate to succeed. That's the biggest thing for me that I love about him. He wants to win. I've grown up winning, so I'm not used to this. I'm not used to losing games where he's not used to it. And we don't want to get used to it. That's the biggest thing. We want to rectify it as soon as we can. Sometimes, like you say, COVID or injuries, it's out of your control, but we understand the job at hand, and our job is to make this place a fortress and make it a place where people fear to come. The biggest thing for us is make it a place for the fans to be proud of. Coming to us on a Saturday or a Tuesday night and buzzing for the game, excited, to make that noise, because it deserves it. Let's be honest, the club is is a really well run club, and the fans are so loyal that they deserve this, you know.
Of course, bringing through your own talent is important as well, and his academy manager Tony Cook on just how important that process is.
The academy is made up from boys registered with the football club from 9s through to under 18s, with the link now to the pre-academy, which we've got 7s and 8s, which is fundamentally provided from the training centre, the new training centre which is set up. We've got our first signing tonight, coming in a little under 9. He's going to come in and sign with us, so we're going to celebrate that with the training centre and the academy and also his parents. So the training centre is a pathway into the academy, but it's also a way to give additional training for players within the community as well. So it serves two purposes really. One for the community side of it, to give additional football lessons, coaching lessons, and also there's an opportunity for them to come into the actual academy system as well. So age group wise, we're running through from the foundation phase is 9s to 12s, and then the 13s to 16s is led by Tony Me, and the 18s, the professional development phase, which is the scholarship programme, is led by Gary McSheffrey, and assisted with Stephen Andes, Matthew Saunders, Daniel Saltz and Luke Gray within the programme. So delighted with the programme. The programme's going from strength to strength. You know, we really are starting to attract local kids into the system, which is we really want to do. So our mantra is really made in Doncaster. We have to have some realism with it. You know, we're not going to get every single scholarship player through from Doncaster, you know, into the first team. That is our aim, but it's a big aim, you know, but it's one which we are trying to achieve. So you've seen recently with the Ethan Harrison that we're starting to get players through into the first team now, and certainly that pathway, and the new manager is giving that pathway to the players, which we're delighted with. And so it gives the players a site where actually, if I'm good enough, the manager will give me a chance. The celebration of the under 9s and 10s is going to be their signing on day as well, so we're really delighted to celebrate those, because it's a massive thing. You know, as adults and as coaches we see these boys year in year out sign, so but the joy of what the families get from it is no different to what we get. You know, we celebrate the success of these 9-year-olds coming into the football club as being part of our family as well, and that's important to us. But Saturday's going to be really good, you know, against Morecambe. You know, being able to walk around and showcase the academy in front of all the home fans, you know, really for a proud moment for the academy, for the parents, and certainly for the young players that will be a memory that we'll never forget.
Hunty, obviously a lot is made of a club like Doncaster bringing through their own talent, because you've got such a team, or big teams around you, the likes of Sheffield Wednesday, Sheffield United, Leeds not too far away either. It can be difficult to find the best talent and bring them here, but Rovers have had a good track record in recent years, the likes of Ravenhill, Hassani, Blythe, of course Lewis Jones as well, which shows that they're doing something right. Absolutely,
yeah. Ben's back today for, you know, it's our day off today, but he's back today for he's had 10 days off with COVID, so he's back in today. And listen, he's been great. He's come in like Rouse and like Lirac. They've come in and they've fought and they've worked hard. And for us now, it's about progressing them players on. I mean, I think the academy's done a great job bringing them through to here. Now it's our turn, you know, maybe to get them out on loan, get them into wherever we can, get them into men's football, you know, where they train with us but they go and play men's football, and get that experience into them, you know, that we think that is important and vital for their education, you know. So I mean, we're off today, but the academy were down at Cantley Park training, so I stayed and watched that. Gary McSheffrey, you know, he has them working really hard, you know, and it's great to see the young lads coming through and how they work, and they've got a real mentality about them that I quite like to see, you know what I mean. So I think in terms of that side of it, I think we're in good hands, you know, and the more we get through and come up, I mean, we've had probably 7 or 8 already up training with us. A couple have made their debuts, with young Ethan coming on against Stoke and whatnot. So listen, it's great for the football club, with the likes of Ben Blythe and Lirac and Ravs now. It's important that we, you know, get them out, get them into the leagues and playing football, and further their education.
When you're looking at where to send them then, of course, you're probably sending them to levels that they're technically better than in terms of where they're at now, but is it more a case of beefing up physically and just getting used to the physicality of it?
Absolutely. Absolutely, and I think it's important for them to know that as well. You know, maybe the level is a little bit. They are maybe a little bit above the level, but it's not about that. It's about getting in there and having the mindset of going to these places and being the best player. You know, and even at their young age, they can drive games by. They've been very lucky to come through an education or an academy. Some of these people, you know, have to go to work. They have to work from 9 to 5 or from 8 to 5. Then they have to get their bag, go home. They have to go to training, you know, and they could be shattered after a day's work, you know. And for them boys to see that and go, oh, I have a chance to change, not doing that, you know what I mean? Like, and it's really important that they go out and experience that, and maybe play on not so nice pitches, you know, maybe play on a cold night where the pitches aren't great and there's probably 100 people there, and being able to motivate themselves to go and play and perform and be the best player, because we expect it in training every day, you know, so it's important for them.
Alex, of course, the fans always want to see a young lad coming through. They've seen a fair few last season. Of course, Brandon made his name in that left-back role, Lewis in goal. Liam Ravenhill's a bit more of a nice touch, isn't it, given who his dad is? There's seen a bit more history there with the football club. Yeah,
you want to see the young players coming through. Like we say, the likes of Brandon and Lewis have taken the chance over the last sort of season and a half with the opportunities that they've had. And now you've got a few of the young lads as well. We saw Lirak a couple of seasons ago playing in that game at Luton Town, and you know, he was, you know, we all remember that he was thrown into it when Rovers are 4-0 down, and even for 20 minutes he was probably one of Rovers' best players. And like I said, there's not really been too many big names as such for Rovers fans to remember coming through the academy. You know, off the top of my head, James Husband is probably the biggest one, and he's now in the Championship. But apart from that, there's not been too many. So for these players to get the opportunities, like I say, in the different competitions, we saw it like last week in the Papa John's, and likewise Ethan Harrison at Stoke, Tavonga Kalea on the bench last week as well. When they do get those opportunities, it's a big, you know, it can be a big moment for them, and hopefully, you know, the Rovers fans can see more of them in the coming weeks.
Yeah, away from the pitch for a second then. It's been a couple of years since Cameron John was introduced to pineapple on pizza. Take a look here, as there have been a few developments for the Rovers defender.
Pineapple? Pizza? No. But pineapple is fruit. Never tried it, so I will still say it to this day. Nope. You should try it. No, I'm not. No chance. No chance. Okay, I'll try it. Next time, I will eat it in front and we'll have an honest opinion.
What's your favourite topping on a pizza?
Not pineapple, I can tell you that.
Pineapple on your pizza?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Guys, you're killing me right now. So. 2 years in the making this is, and I think we've finally got a pineapple pizza. Can't believe I agreed to this.
So Hunty, pineapple on pizza? Yes, no?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. I don't mind it at all. I think it's quite nice.
I'm not having it all.
Not having that?
No.
I don't think I am either, to be honest.
What do you mean you don't think?
It's just fruit, isn't it?
You can't be having fruit on a pizza for me.
Well, you either having it or you're not.
No, I'm not, definitely
Have
not.
you had it?
No. I just the look of it, it's like, nah.
That's just ridiculous.
It's good then, yeah?
Yeah, it's lovely, yeah. Because it's cooked, it's warm, you don't expect it to be warm.
Right.
So ham and pineapple, they don't just make these things up and it's in, what, how old is pizza? And how old is
Old
ham
enough.
and pineapple pizza? So if it was rubbish, it'd be gone long ago, wouldn't it?
True.
Yeah.
True. Still alive and kicking.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's move on to the away fans feature then, shall we? Aaron Challoner spoke to Morecambe fan Joel on the Shrimp start to life in League One.
First things first, I've got to say this then. What a start to the season that Morecambe are having. I mean, you know, people predict you to finish in the bottom four. You're nowhere near that at the moment, even at this early stage. And it seems like even though we've obviously suffered a 4-3 loss at the hands of AFC Wimbledon last time, Results there's been some fantastic results to the start of the season. I mean, how proud of you of this Morecambe team that's come such a long way?
Yeah, really proud. And to be honest, like I was saying this before the other day, actually, like this is probably going to be the weakest version of this current side because there's so many new players and they all need to gel a little bit. So we're still kind of seeing the process of that. And you look at some aspects of a play that they're still coming together. But to get the results, some of the results, and putting some of the performances that we have done in certain areas, it's been really positive so far. And obviously, like you say, some big results. Getting that first winning at Shrewsbury was really nice. And I think that was the game that we really dominated, which was good to see. And then obviously Sheffield Wednesday, it was a bit more backs to the wall, but a great win against Sheffield Wednesday. And I'm sure other people in South Yorkshire weren't too happy we're pretty happy to see that result go down. So it's generally been really positive, and I am really proud of the team. It's nice to see a few of the players like Stockton, who I think we'll probably come on to later, but and some of the players we had last season step up, but also some of the new players start to bed themselves in and feel a bit more confident. We saw a really couple of good performances of Martin Ahua recently, as they start to bed in and feel a bit more confident in the surroundings and gel a little bit more. So hopefully we'll just keep improving.
One particular player that's been making quite a bit of an impact is Cole Stockton up front. I mean, he's been scoring goal after goal after goal. I mean, is this the most underrated goal scorer in League One so far, or one of the arguably the most underrated goal scorer in the entire Football League?
Well, you'd hope he'd be pretty rated by now, actually, after these few games. But no, to be honest, it's an interesting thing with Cole because for much of his career, he didn't have the best goal record, and he generally put his best performances in with us because he's had a couple of spells with us previously. And now, obviously, people kind of say it's the kind of the magic of the changing room and the museum or whatever. But I think, personally, looking at it, the way that our old manager Jim Bentley played was very, very suited to Cole Stockton. And while he didn't score very many, because just to be honest, we weren't a particularly good team. Like he never had the chance to score that many when Jim Bentley was there. But he played in a way that kind of he had Cole as a single striker and everything kind of revolved around him, and that suits him really well because I'm sure, as you'll see on Saturday, he likes to have his back to goal, take the ball into him and kind of hold up play and bring others in, and we suited him quite well from that. And then when Derek Adams came in, he wanted a really similar thing from Stockton. Obviously he's had Ryan Taylor at Plymouth doing a similar role a few years back, and he just got the absolute best out of Stockton, and I think Robinson's carried that on. He's seen that strength and played to it. But also, I think it probably is at a point now where it is self-perpetuating. He feels confident. He said many times like he feels really happy here. He's had a few good managers who played to his strengths, and then it kind of goes from the kind of pure football tacticking side and all that to just being a bit more kind of a bit more kind of on the mental side. That he just feels comfortable and happy here. And he's always had a great strike on him, and it's just about he had a few patches of form last season where he played brilliantly, but his finishing was a bit off. But that's finishing sometimes, especially with lower league strikers. If they were hitting the target every time, then they wouldn't be in League One or League Two. They'd be in the Championship or above. So you just got to back your strikers when they go for a bit of a bad patch, and that's what Derek Adams really did last season.
I mean, what are you sort of looking on this? Wellens has come out and said it's a very, very winnable game to the press yesterday in terms of Thursday. So, I mean, what are you sort of thinking about this? Do you think this is a very winnable game for Morecambe, or do you think this could go either way?
Yeah, from a manager who's not had a win all season, it might be a bit much of him to say that this is a winnable game. But I'm not Richie Wellens. I'm not quite as arrogant. But you look at it, and obviously Doncaster haven't won all season, and that is that you do take a bit of confidence from that. At the same time, they're going to win at some point. You just got to hope it's not going to be against us.
Huntley Rovers back at home this weekend. Of course, Morecambe, as we said, with that bounce from promotion, but it sort of gets to this stage in the season, doesn't it, where that bounce just fades off a little bit, and then it's down to the nitty-gritty.
Well, we hope so. We hope so, absolutely. Listen, no Morecambe and the manager and the players, they've got, like I said, that mentality that will drive them for however long it'll go. But it's about us this weekend and what we do and how we affect the game. And we want. We've had the patterns and whatnot, and now we want to get into the final third and start creating chances and get shots off. I think that'll be the icing on the cake for us, is to get us up and running.
The manager said about the basics, and if you switch off from a set piece, you're not going to win any game, are you? So has there been plenty of work on that this week? Of course, with combinations in there, with the skipper potentially back in as well.
Absolutely, we have. We've literally stripped it back to basics in terms of how we're going to defend and how we structure our team. So on the ball is one problem, off the ball is another. So we've got to make sure the boys know what to do in both scenarios is so important. And then on the transition, how we're going to hurt teams. So that was the biggest thing this week. Like I said, it was great to have the majority of the squad back. We're still waiting. I mean, if you look at it, we thought we'd have Faye back by now. We thought we'd have John Taylor back. These boys have had a little bit of issues that have prolonged their injuries or whatnot, or different injuries. So, but what we have now, we're a lot more confident with.
We saw Wigan last weekend, Alex. Perhaps not the best footballing team in the league, but just doing the smarts right and knowing when to buy a free kick, when to fall on the ball, and at the end they were playing it into touch as if it was a rugby league game, weren't they, at the DW? But is that something Rovers can learn from, and having gone through that, take it into their own game at times? Yeah,
of course, and you're going to learn that along the way throughout the season. It is just about being smart in the way that you play, and Rovers will develop that over the coming weeks. When you say you get those players back, like say Tails and Faye are still missing, the lads that have come in, Geordie and Joe, them sort of players they're still getting up to speed essentially, but we saw it in the Rotherham game for spells in the first half, especially from Geordie Awula, his ability to run down that left-hand side, get in behind defences, and maybe he could have had a couple of goals himself that night as well. So when you're developing that in the side, you're getting more minutes in. Hopefully, something like that can pay off for Rovers, and once you get the basics right, you can build from there.
Hunty, how much will Thiago Chikura benefited from a couple of weeks without a game? In fact, probably 3 weeks since he last kicked a football on the pitch. He's obviously come from Watford, and I think his fitness levels, admittedly, were not where they needed to be. He's had now 2 or 3 weeks to work on that. Will we see probably closer to the best of him, do you think?
Yeah, he is getting there, and this is the thing. I mean, we talk about how disruptive COVID could be. I mean, he had to isolate for 30 days. As a professional footballer, to isolate and stick by the rules, which he thought, which he did do, which literally meant he didn't leave his room. So if there's only so much you can do in your room in a hotel, he had to do 10 days back in Holland, he had to do 10 days back in England, and on the last day he catches COVID. How's your look? So for 30 days, the week before he came to us, it can be a big hindrance to a boy like that at that age. And when he came in, his conditioning wasn't great. We have worked extremely hard with him over the last 2-3 weeks to get him up to shape, and he does look a lot better. He feels a lot better. And sometimes when you're that young, you don't really understand why or how it's happened, but it just creeps on you. When you're not exercising every day and maybe you're eating from a hotel, it's not the greatest. It does affect you. So for us, the last 2 weeks have been really good. And again, if he's not starting, he's someone that can come on and really affect the game for us. We look to see, is he there yet? No, he's not. Is Joe there yet? No, is Geordie, but they're getting there and they're taking good strides to get there. So, I mean, we're getting stronger and stronger in that final third, which gives you a lot of hope, and a lot of excitement to go, let's go in the game. So, yeah, he is getting there. He's a great kid. He really is. He really is a lovely boy. He's a strong lad for 18, and I think he's got a right chance if he gets himself right.
I won't ask you for a specific score prediction, of course, while you're in the midst of it, but how do you see the game going on Saturday afternoon?
We're fully confident that we can do enough to come here and score goals and win the game.
Well then, Alex, I will ask you for a score prediction.
Hopefully we see a win. It's been a long time coming. The performances are starting to show, so we'll go with We'll go 2-0. Hopefully keep a clean sheet as well with a couple of defensive players coming back. Alex
Hunty, thank you for your company here. Thank you at home for watching as well. Get down to the Keepmoat Stadium on Saturday as league action returns to South Yorkshire as Rovers take on Morecambe.